Hi, my name is Phil, and I'm here with another one of my pops. And my pops are my points or perspectives. And they're always focused on leadership development and business transformation. And always what I'll share with you is a personal and professional development story or stories. So thank you for being here. I'm really grateful for your engagement and support. And I continue to believe that more and more people are finding these, and more people are finding value in these, and more people are getting something out of these that are meaningful to them in the place that they are in their career. So this week, I'm actually sharing with you a series that I developed. And this series is all about taking change and learning from it in terms of skills and competencies, and then creating success. So what I'm sharing with you each of the days this week is a story about a company that I worked for, where I was able to take on a change challenge, right? So take on an organizational role to be able to make change and transformation. And then what did I learn in terms of skills and competencies while I did that? And then what were the successful outcomes? So when I last talked about in yesterday's, I had brought you to the point where I worked at Humana. And I, for the first time ever, was able to own this label, this title, this reputation around change agents, because I had done a major turnaround at that company. And so there was a reputation now that had been developed around being a change agent. And I'm really excited about it. And I remember thinking back on it, how excited I was, because it was going to give me a lot of opportunity to do things, different things and new things and exciting things on a regular basis. So I ended up taking a role with Cigna. So if you're following along, I first worked for Prudential, and then I went to work for Humana, and now I'm going to work for Cigna. So lots of healthcare insurance companies already at this point into my career. And what was very exciting about it was I was recruited to come and work as a director, which was really exciting for me because I'd left Humana as a director. And so that was a really great lateral move for me. However, the scope was different because I was actually working with all of the legacy system for one of their service centers. And so my charge was to take all this legacy work and bring it current so that it could be moved on to a new system. Now, my very first project manager leadership role in 1983 was doing that very thing, taking legacy work and transitioning it to new system platforms. So I felt like I had the background for it. I felt like I had developed the skills by then to be able to do that. And most importantly, the people that recruited me and ultimately hired me believed the same thing of me. And so I went to work there, and it was interesting because in the interviewing process, and it was quite arduous, I kept asking, can you tell me, what is the status currently? What is the as is? What is the, what are the challenges? What are the three most important things that have to be addressed? And it was interesting because each and every time that I asked, no one would give me an answer. And so while I recognized this as something that was going on, I didn't really pay any attention to it because I was really enticed by the role and everything that came with it. And so not knowing exactly what I was walking into probably was a really good thing in hindsight, because when I walked in and I started asking for reports as I was getting assimilated into my role, these reports were coming in reams of paper, and the summary pages had really, really big numbers on them. And big numbers were not what we were going for. And so when I looked at these really big numbers on these reports, I thought, wow, this is a massive undertaking. And quite frankly, I understood why they didn't tell me the numbers, because they probably thought they would have scared me away. Now, what they didn't know about me was the bigger the challenge, the bigger opportunity to make change and transformation, the more engaged I got. So I was very excited about being there, and at the same time, really overwhelmed early on at the status of the way things were. And so it's worth noting that one of the leaders that was instrumental in hiring me was not there when I actually started on my first day. And so the leader that was there didn't have the history of interviewing me or any of that type of stuff. And very early on was more focused on the results and very impatient. And so I had to make sure that he understood that while it took them a long time to create this chaos, it was not going to be fixed overnight. And so in time, he was able to see that there was a methodical approach to it. So one of the things that I had to do to get these really big numbers down was to figure out what were the management levers that we were paying attention to. And in addition to that, who were the leaders, right? Who were the leaders of this organization, this really big division that I had. And what I found was that there were challenges in the leadership, because the leadership that were left behind in the legacy were not necessarily the strongest and most competent, and so were challenged by some of the stuff that was going on. And so that was one thing, was the leadership challenge. And then the second thing was the management challenge, which was, do you know any given day where you are in terms of the metrics for the month? And the answer was no. And so one of the things that I did in conjunction with these leaders that were working with me was we put together a scorecard. So it took us some time because we had a 30, 60, 90-day plan that we were living against. And it took some time to come up with the components and the variables and how information was fed into the scorecard. But once it was done, then we could look at the scorecard on a daily and weekly basis. And at the end of the month, know exactly what was going to come out on the final reports that we were going to report to the senior leaders. So that was really, really important to be able to put that in place. And then the other thing was leadership development. So, through no fault of their own, these leaders had been put in these roles without necessarily all of the capability development building that they needed. And so part of what I was doing was modeling for them and supporting them in such a way as to show them not only the leadership practices, but then also the management practices that were necessary for something like this. And what was really exciting about this role is this role really gave me an opportunity to expand and step into really one of the biggest servant leadership roles of my career. It was really exciting to be of service to others in terms of breaking down barriers, helping them to change their outlooks, their perspectives, working with them to develop their unique leadership styles as leaders, working with individuals who were actually doing the work to find the solutions to the barriers for them to be able to be more productive and produce higher quality output. So it was a really, really great opportunity for me to engage, by the proverbial walking around and talking to people and asking questions and then collecting that information and actually putting it through a process of creating some enhancements and improvements. So what was most exciting about that role, I think, was being able to put together a plan. Again, we started with the 30, 60, 90-day plans and just kept rolling those. And that supported a strategic plan. And that strategic plan, of course, was the objective of getting everything from the legacy system over to the new system. And in putting that plan together and working it with these leaders and the full staff together, it was really exciting to see the success. And it was really exciting to learn some skills around how to interact with these leaders from where they were and how to help them and support them to move along. And then also to watch as people went from feeling really downtrodden and beat down and all of that by working with this work that wasn't going smoothly, to actually finding ways to enhance the processes and make it easier and better for them. And it was a dual-edged sword, because while they were working massive amounts of overtime to get the inventory under control, that was putting money in their pocket. And at the same time, it was really fatiguing them and taking away from their work-life balance. So when it was all said and done, they were able to achieve that balance because we didn't necessarily need as much overtime once we got things going in the right direction. So planning was really, really key to that role. Leadership development was really key to that role. And then being engaged, actually, developing trust and rapport really early on as somebody from the outside, and getting people to share with me the big things that needed to be addressed and taken care of. So I love that experience. I have really fond memories of it. And I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to do that and work for such a great company. And so, if you find yourself in a situation where you're involved with an organization where there needs to be some change, because again, I'm talking this week about change and skills and success. I can tell you that at this point in my career, when I'm talking about back in at the days that I was at Cigna, I'd really developed some proficiency around change management, change leadership development skills, that type of stuff. And so they only got better as I went on. And the reason I bring that up is because I'm sure there's many of you who are out there right now that are dealing with change in your career. COVID-19 has done the most amazing job of putting people in positions of being change agents. I mean, it's so interesting for me to look out and see that now everyone, quote unquote, is embracing change. The reality is that more people than ever are embracing change and taking it on, whether they're doing kicking and screaming or with open arms. The bottom line to it is there's got to be change. So all that to say that if you'd like to have a conversation with me and see how I might work with you and support you in any of the changes that you're going through, in developing skills and competencies as a part of your unique leadership style, let's have a conversation. I'm very easy to get a hold of. You can just let me know in the comments here, or you can send an email to phil@seedandlead.com, and I'm happy to set that up with you. I say this often, I'll say it again. My proverbial Zoom door is open, and I look forward to having a conversation with you with much gratitude.